Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So on today's video, I'm going to be using a sketch from the Hip Kit Club, the Facebook page. They put up a new sketch, I want to say each week, and by the time you're seeing this one, this sketch is already done. But it was really fun. It looks really simple, but you could do so much. So I decided to use the November Hip Kit Club kit, and I covered my sheet with the clear gesso, and I've already cut out my strips from the different papers. This one I want to say is 3 inches by 12, and that's going to be the bottom layer. And then the layer on top of that, I decided to tear the bottom edge to give it a little bit of interest. And this one, I want to say I cut at 2 inches. It was either at 2 or 2.5. I want to say it was at 2.5 and then I tore it. So, yeah. And then I just did a 1/2 inch of that same pattern paper. You can see the uh, flower pattern that's on the bottom. I just flipped it over so we would get the highlight of the yellow. And then that same checker or plaid pattern, I'm going to put at the very bottom. Sorry you can't see it. I don't want to zoom out too far. You'll see all my messy desk. So, I grabbed some Project Life cards that I have in my stash and some of the acetate flowers and leaves, and we're going to be building up a little area here. So I'm taking the gold glimmers, the blings that I got in my haul video that I showed on Thursday, and I'm just layering some of the colors. I wanted to use the Wisteria Lane, even though there's no direct purple in this, the actual pattern paper itself. I think it gives it a nice, interesting uh, contrast. So I'm just putting down some of the color and then using a tissue to kind of dab it up, and then I'm using my brush to tap and put down some splatters because my cluster is going to be right there in the middle, so I know uh, a lot of it's going to wind up being covered. So right now I'm grabbing some of the shimmer spray, the Goldilocks, and I'm just spritzing basically the area so that way it would have a nice little shimmer. And since it is regular, I guess you would say just pattern paper, even though I did the clear gesso, I am going to use my heat tool here to kind of help the process along with the drying. So once I figured out my layer for my cluster for my photo, I very carefully held it as tight as I could, flipped it over, and then everywhere where the papers are connecting, I've added some art glitter glue. And then I'm just going to cut a little piece of foam that's going to go in the center of the cluster right here. Having a little bit of issues. I'm getting closer to the end. So I'll probably be going to a new bottle soon. But I'm trying to get everything I can out of it because I love this glue and I don't want to waste any of it. So once I have everything down, I'm going to grab some of my 3-in-1 or fabric tack glue, and I'm going to use it on the acetate sheets only because it is clear. So once it dries, it'll still just remain clear, and it won't mess with the acetate piece that we're putting down. So now I'm going to put a piece of foam on the back of my photo. This is from back when I was a kid. And it just seemed to go well. I was wearing a plaid shirt, so I was like, oh, this is key. This was meant to be. So once I get that down, I looked at the wood veneer pieces that we had, and they had these little leaves with hints of gold. And I was just thinking, you know what, this would be fun to kind of make them look like they're falling from the project, or um, just little accents all around. And I was thinking about It had a little tag, so I'm placing that on the side. And I know I want to use a bigger leaf because there is in the sketch like a little cluster at the bottom. So I'm holding the leaf in my hand and I'm just looking, trying to decide, do I want to use a journaling tag on the back? What pieces I wanted to use that were on the sticker sheet. So I start grabbing some of the hearts. And after I put a couple of those down, I grabbed another um, acetate sheet from the little package to put down, at the bottom to kind of tie in the clusters that we have. And then at this point, I think I'm ready to put my photo down. Just going to hit it up with a little bit of glue and then press that down. And now what I'm going to do is actually get my spray so I can do some splattering, and I'm just going to cut a little piece of some white cardstock to kind of cover my photo. And since I wasn't trying to cover the entire page, I didn't use my cubby. I just lightly tapped and because I wanted to have a little bit of that, splatter just kind of like as a halo around our cluster here. Now, I will give you a tip. If you're using black and white, you're going to want to possibly heat set in between, only because at one point, because I'm holding up my photo and I'm taking pictures of it, the some of the droplets were so big they started to drip down, and it wasn't something that I was necessarily going for, but it wound up happening. So just be aware of that. If you're using multiple colors for your splatters, you may want to dry in between, unless you're okay with it possibly mixing. So here are close-ups of everything, and I have a lot of close-ups. This one was really a lot of fun, and though it was simple, it, it allowed for a lot of different interpretations, and you could use this over and over and over again for different photos to highlight anything. And it doesn't matter what time of the year. It could be for Christmas, it could be for trying to think of other holidays. Valentine's Day. I mean, it was a really nice sketch. It was probably my favorite so far. And I had a lot of fun doing this particular one. Now, I'm not affiliated with the Hip Kit Club. I just happened upon them, I think, watching on YouTube. A friend of mine mentioned it, but I will try and put a link to their website down at the bottom. So that way, if you guys want to check it out, you can feel free. I've like I said in my haul video, I'm really liking the kit so far. So thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And if you have any comments, you can always leave them down below. And I hope you guys have a fantastic Sunday.